weakest in the entire universe. But after his death, he ascends to another world where he becomes a shadow god, capable of destroying the entire world with a single gesture. The greatest warriors from all over the world come to kill him, but he manages to trick his own death. Since childhood, he believed he could fight petty thugs, but if an atomic bomb fell on him, he would be incapable of doing anything. But in this world, he becomes a walking nuclear weapon. He controls the entire world from behind the scenes, yet remains unnoticed. Yoni. This boy, Kagenou, is a complete idiot and a good-for-nothing at school. Everyone ignores him just as my crush ignores me. He lives as a background character in school. He has no friends, and he doesn't talk to anyone. He lives completely alone, lost in his own world. There's a girl in the class, Nishino, who's a very famous heroine. Everyone in the class admires her. She's famous not only in the class, but worldwide. She may appear perfect on the outside, but she's completely broken on the inside because she was kidnapped as a child and has been in depression ever since. As perfect as she appears on the outside, she's equally broken on the inside. Despite Nishino seeming perfection, Kagenou doesn't give her a second thought. Kagenou has been sitting next to her for months, yet he doesn't even remember her name. He calls her strange names, which upsets her because she's the only boy in the class who keeps her distance. At night, Nishino calls her driver, but he was murdered by some thugs. Nishino was walking home for the first time in her life, but the thugs caught up with her. She tries desperately to break free, but nothing works. The thugs bring her to an abandoned mansion, shrouded in darkness. They had captured Nishino so they could extort money from her family. But one of them loses his cool and tries to force himself on her. Nishino remembers her childhood when she was kidnapped, but no one came to her rescue. Just like the last time, the same thing is happening to Nishino. Nishino gives up and starts crying. But then a boy breaks through the roof and descends. This boy is none other than our main character, Kagenou. This is the same boy we saw a while ago, Amago. Kagenou stabs a gang member with his blade and throws him down. But one of the gang members is anything but normal. He was a former captain in the American military. At first, he overpowers the military commander, Kagenou, who has years of combat experience. He brutally assaults our main character. But in the end, Kagenou takes out his crowbar and brutally assaults a gang member, injuring him. He then ties up all the gang members and leaves. Shortly after, the police and Nishino's parents arrive. Nishino's parents were very powerful, so they keep the matter under wraps. The next day, Nishino goes to school, where she meets Kagenou. This time, Kagenou pronounces her name correctly, leading her to understand that it was Kagenou who saved her that night. Kagenou's past is then shown where, as a child, he wanted to be a superhero like everyone else. Growing up, he learned all sorts of worldly skills like karate, Brazilian juju, martial arts, boxing, and taekwondo. Despite all this, he's still just a human. He can defeat a maximum of 510 people with these skills. But if an entire army came to kill him, or if the entire world was hit by an atomic bomb, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Thinking about this, he goes completely mad. He bangs his head against a rock and runs like crazy. But then a truck comes and crushes him. He's killed on the spot. The main character ends. Video ends. Run away. But no, he's reborn in another world where he's created his own organization to eradicate evil Ogani. In this organization, the Kagans have recruited girls from all over the world who possess magical powers. They are so powerful that they keep an eye on the entire world. If any evil arises in the world, this organization destroys it on the spot. Our Kagenou possesses the power of dark magic. Kagenou is the most dangerous person in this world. He is invisible to anyone, but in the background he controls the entire world. Now, Kagenou vows to maintain peace in the world and sets out with his team to show his enemies their place. Kagenou thinks to himself, I don't want to be a hero. I want to be an unstoppable person who controls the entire world from behind the scenes. I want to be emptiness and shadow. The story then flashes back to a few years ago where Kagenou was reborn in this world and had an older sister. At this moment, he realizes that magic also exists in this world. He then grows up with his older sister, where his sister was much more powerful than him. But in reality, Kagenou possessed so much magical power that if he wanted, he could defeat his older sister in no time. But he always pretended to be a background character. He made himself seem weaker, all because he wanted to make people feel like a side character, not the main character. But as night falls, he transforms into a shadow. Every night, he hunts down bad guys and kills them like laundry dogs, tearing the last one right in the middle, surtout. Later, while wandering around like this, he finds a strange monster, brings it home, and uses his dark magic on it for days. After a few days, the curse on the monster finally breaks, and the Alp girl sealed inside it emerges. If I get a premium subscription like this after death, I'm ready to put 2 drops of water in a bottle cap, dip my nose in it, and give up my life. Now, Kagenou stands there like a miso Batman and starts throwing, and he tells her, listen girl, there's a group in the dark called the Cult of Diablos. These scoundrels experimented on you to awaken the demon lord from his slumber, but they all failed and you were transformed into a monster. But I, the Shadow, have saved you. Now, together we will destroy the Cult of Diablos, But Kagenou had no clue what he was up to. He had made this entire story up in his mind. But look at this wretched fellow's luck. Every single thing he spouts turns out to be 100% correct. Kagenou decides that this girl will be named Alpha from now on, and not only does he give her a name, but he immediately recruits her into his organization, Shadow Garden. The same organization he created just 2 seconds ago, seeing an opportunity. A few years pass and Kagenou has grown considerably. In these years, Kagenou and Alpha have gathered many girls for their organization, Shadow Garden. These girls possess special powers which they must use to decode the Diablo Maker. Akira's older sister has now turned 15 and is about to attend the Magic Academy. But someone kidnaps her before she can. Kagenou, along with his group, launches an investigation to find her either. They discover that the Cult of Diablo has kidnapped her. However, they don't know the Cult of Diablo's current location. Kagenou tries to mark a location on the map, but ends up in the wrong place, But look at this fool's luck. His sister is imprisoned at the very spot he marked immediately. Kagenou's assistant discovers that the marked location is a secret hideout out. Kagenou decides to go there with his Shadow Garden team. Meanwhile, Kagenou's sister was held captive by a man. When the man starts talking about Cid Kagenou, his sister becomes enraged and tries to hit him, cutting his hand. A knee on his hand, but the man angrily throws her away. Just then, another member of the group arrives and tells the man that someone has attacked them and that the attackers are none other than the girls of Shadow Garden Macadie. They had already killed all the members of the Cult of Diablo. Seeing this, the man runs for his life. But the girls from Shadow Garden are standing right in front of him. They had come here determined to destroy the Cult of Diablo completely. The man tries to fight him, but Alpha arrives and injures him. Feeling defeated, he takes a magic pill which gives him immense power, and he digs a hole in the ground and escapes. Meanwhile, Kagenou, wandering around, was searching for a way out. Just then, the man arrives searching for a way out. He attacks Kagenou as soon as he sees him. But no matter how hard he tries, he's still a Nubla, which is why he's no match for Kagenou. Finally, he consumes several magic pills at once, transforming him into a very dangerous monster, and attacks Kagenou directly. But Kagenou uses his ultimate purple energy and kills the man in one blow. Kagenou's mission is complete, so he leaves us. Sometime later, all the members of Shadow Garden gather together. Alpha tells Kagenou that the Cult of Diablo has numerous hideouts all over the world. Therefore, to find them, they'll have to leave Kagenou behind now and da. Our Kagenou is now 15 years old. So, like his sister, he enrolls in the Middle Guard Academy of Dark Knights, a school for the children of the richest and most powerful people. After arriving in this kingdom, Kagenou's sole objective was to become a complete and utter loser and absolute background character. To fulfill his noble mission of becoming a background character, Kagenou has found two specimens who are even more idiotic. Judging by their looks, it's clear God washed his hands with the toll after creating them. Now, these three great men have set a condition. Whoever scores the lowest on the test will propose to the most beautiful girl in the school, the same girl who has crushed half the school's hearts and half its confidence under her sandals. Kagenou knows that proposing to this girl means dancing in the well of death. But look at his brother's dedication. He deliberately sets up a funeral procession for his own so that he can be humiliated in the school assembly. Now he proposes to that girl, Alexia. He fears he'll be rejected and humiliated in front of everyone. Kagenou has come here having practiced how to act after being rejected. But Princess Alexia says yes. Seeing this scene unfold, my only request to God is, Lord, please release the latest edition of the Garuda Purana and create a separate punishment for such unlucky children. Now, because Alexia's yes had changed the entire story, which was completely outside the syllabus for Kagenou becoming a naughty child. He's forced to go on a date with Alexia Aroko. The two of them start spending time together. They eat lunch together, train together, and hang out together. Seeing this, everyone in the class is envious. This crocodile like Kagenou is in a relationship with a princess. Later, it's revealed that Alexia said yes to Kagenou because she was engaged to a teacher named Genos who looks even uglier than me. Alexia, meanwhile, is the second princess of the kingdom. She's not only beautiful, but also an ultra-pro at sword fighting. And Alexia doesn't like her fiancé Genos at all. That's why she dated Kagenou to make her fiancé jealous. Her fiancé remains calm despite this, but he's also jealous inside. In the evening, they talk alone. Alexia openly admits that she's using Kagenou, and she knows Kagenou is using her too. Kagenou refuses to pretend to be her boyfriend anymore. But Alexia flips a coin in his direction and Kagenou literally becomes a dog. Our main character agreed to be Alexia's loyal dog for a pittance. Now, because our main character has been sold, he becomes Alexia's fake boyfriend every day. Seeing this, her fiancé's face turns to ashes. The two then go for a walk where Alexia tells her about her fiancé, saying he looks absolutely perfect. But no one can be that perfect. He's either a liar, a hypocrite, or a psycho. That's why she doesn't like him. On the train home, Alexia expresses her grief. She admits she feels inferior to her older sister, Eris, who far surpasses her in strength and talent. Kagan tries to comfort her, saying, "Your sword style may be simple, but it's beautiful. You'll learn with time. That's the only mistake I made." This was the same line her older sister had uttered after defeating her. Enraged, Alexia points her sword at Kagenou, but Kagenou doesn't seem to mind. Finally, she leaves in disgust, leaving their relationship in a fit of rage. The next day, he's hanging out at school with his lazy friends. But Alexia's fiancé Gian arrives with soldiers to arrest Kagenou. Because Alexia was kidnapped last night and because he was with her last night, all suspicion now falls on Kagenou. Kagenou surrenders. Meanwhile, a mad doctor from the Cult of Diablo has kidnapped Alexia. His goal is to use Alexia's royal blood to revive the Demon King in the modern world. Meanwhile, in the darkness, a terrifying shadow lurks, the result of the doctor's previous demon experiment gone awry. For days, the doctor has been draining Alexia's blood and conducting his horrific experiments. Due to lack of proper nutrition and constant bleeding, Alexia has become completely weak and helpless. Meanwhile, soldiers have been brutally torturing Kagenou for days. His appearance resembled a tomato crushed by a truck. But deep inside, Kagenou was experiencing a state of ecstasy. He couldn't have experienced such pleasure even after smoking marijuana mixed with kerosene. Kagenou is too eager to become a background character. After being tortured for some time, he is kicked out and the soldiers send their saprias after him. Oh. A short while later, Kagenou arrives at his home. Alpha is waiting for him in the dark. She gives him a serious report. Alpha has been kidnapped and the entire kingdom is in ruins. But our entire Shadow Garden is armed and ready to stop the devastation. With that, she puts on her suit and prepares to fight the Cult of Diablo. Here, Kagenou gets ready, donning his suit, and goes to his underground cellar, which he built with the money from Alexia. Now he and his entire team are ready to fight the Cult of Diablo. At night, Kagenou goes to assess the condition of the city. He then encounters the same knight who tortured him. Overconfident, he draws his sword to beat him again. But this time, Kagenou is in full form. He chases them all down like dogs and determined to settle the score. Meanwhile, the mad scientist has drained Alexia of her blood, leaving her half dead. Meanwhile, Kagenou's Shadow Garden team is in full action throughout the kingdom. They sensed something terrible was about to happen that night, and were fully prepared to prevent the disaster. The mad scientist injects Alexia's royal blood into the dying man's veins. As soon as the royal blood enters his bloodstream, the man transforms into a ferocious and deadly monster writhing in agony. He immediately kills the scientist, approaches Alexia and unlocks her chains, and he has become extremely ferocious. Because of this, he shatters the wall in a single blow, wreaking havoc across the kingdom. Taking advantage of this devastation, Alexia searches for a way to escape. But then, out of the darkness emerges her fiancé, Xenon, and the biggest and most terrifying secret is revealed. Xenon himself is a member of the Cult of Diablo. He treacherously kidnapped his own fiancée, Alexia Nia. Seeing this, Alexia's blood boils. She musters her remaining strength and launches a deadly attack on Xenon, but only manages to inflict a minor scratch. Alexia was completely helpless against Xenon's terrifying power. With a single blow, Alexia's sword falls into the water, and he angrily throws her to the ground. But then silence descends. A terrifying shadow emerges, piercing through the dense darkness. It was none other than the King of Darkness, Kagenou, the Shadow King. As soon as he arrives, it becomes clear that the devastation is about to begin. The funny thing here is that neither of them had any idea that Kagenou was the real Shadow. As soon as Kagenou entered, Xenon attacked him with his sword. But Kagenou's speed made the attack a joke. Meanwhile, the idiot monster was turning the kingdom into a graveyard. The knight's attacks were ineffective because he instantly regenerated. Just then, Princess Ares, Alexia's sister, arrived. She cut off his arm with her magic sword, even slicing it into tiny pieces. But even after such severe cuts, the monster regenerated in the blink of an eye. Just then, Alpha arrived. She unleashed a powerful blue blast from her sword's magic energy, reducing the recurring monster to ashes in an instant. After killing the monster, she quickly left the scene. The entire Shadow Garden team had driven everyone from the kingdom out of the kingdom, leaving only the Cult of Diablo members remaining. Meanwhile, Zen unleashed all his dark energy on Kagenou. Alexia caught sight of Kagenou's sword style and was stunned. It was the exact same fencing style Alexia used. The same useless style that the entire world used to laugh at. She was about to break down and give up her swordsmanship forever. But today, Kagenou wielded that same weak style like a perfect masterpiece. Xenon was brought to his knees. But distraught by his defeat, the traitor swallowed a handful of red pills at once. A powerful, dangerous dark energy spread throughout the whole, transforming Xenon's body into a terrifying demon. Xenon unleashed a terrifying almighty blast with all his might, filling the entire hole with his red magic, surprising even Alexia. But our Kagenou was so powerful that even a moment didn't bother him. He knocked him out with just one kick. Kagenou then released his magic power, creating a massive barrier across the entire hole. Xenon broke out in a cold sweat at the sight of this god-level magic. He couldn't believe a human could be so powerful. Kagenou said in a calm voice, "In my past life I wondered what I would do if a nuclear bomb fell on me. That's why I decided that to defeat the nuclear bomb I had to become nuclear myself." from childhood until today. I've honed my magic so much that now I am nuclear myself, mom. The entire Shadow Garden team watched this horrific blast. When the blast ended, a massive crater was formed. All the members of the Cult of Diablo present there were killed. Alexia was shocked by the blast. Then her sister Eris came and embraced her, overjoyed to see her safe and sound. The next day, Shadow Garden holds a secret meeting where they discover several new hideouts of the Cult of Diablo. They also discover that some criminals are committing crimes in the name of Shadow Garden and tarnishing their reputation. To save their reputation, they decide to use the Death of Judgment on these individuals. The next day, Kagenou walks around school as if he's just come from a bloody hole. This bloody affair is because Alexia proposed to him, and our tough guy, in pursuit of his own dreams, rejected her outright. Madame's ego is hurt, and she, instead of loving him, she murders Kagenou. In this tattered state, he meets a new girl and witnesses his charisma. Despite his ferocious appearance, they develop a close friendship. The next day, Kagenou and his rascally friends begin a girls' wooing panchayat. These rascals have hatched a master plan that would make even their mother's mansion commit suicide. Listen, they'll buy chocolate, they'll give it to the girls, and they'll melt and kiss their feet. Even a blind man would change his path after seeing their faces. And they're out to make lovers with a 10-euro dairy milk. If a girl falls at their feet after seeing their looks, they take it for granted. She must be suffering from epilepsy, not love. Once the plan is set, these three Majnus arrive at the city's most expensive chocolate store. The manager catches sight of Kagenou and takes him inside under the pretext of special services. And brother, inside it wasn't just any chocolate warehouse. The entire Shadow Garden team was waiting for their boss, Kagenou, with a huge royal throne set up. In reality, this manager is none other than Gamma, a member of Shadow Garden, a member of... In the past, Kagenou had saved him from death and given him the idea to make chocolate and... With that very idea, this fellow built an entire empire and minted 1 billion gold coins. Kagenou sits on his throne like a godfather. Gamma reports that some shrewd criminals are ruining Shadow Garden's reputation by committing crimes in its name. She then introduces a new member named Nu who will assist Kagenou in every mission from now on. But the prisoner who built a $1 billion empire with her idea, our underworld Don secretly slips a gold coin from his treasury into his pocket. After this, the three of them are happily heading home. But then Kagenou hears a noise and realizes something is wrong. Suddenly, his steps stop. He clutches his stomach, takes a deep breath, and then in a trembling voice says, "Forgive me. The pressure is unbearable. I have no other way out. I have to go down this alley." The ground beneath the feet of those friends standing a short distance away crumbles. A heavy silence hangs in the air and tears well up in their eyes. Without approaching him, they watch their friends struggle with this horrific pain from a distance. He emotionally tells his friend, "Don't give up, brother. We swear we'll keep this secret of yours forever, ever." Then, leaving his best friend alone in that dark alley to his fate, he walks away, weeping. But in reality, it was a ploy by Kagenou to lure his friends away. He heads straight to the rooftop where Alexia, single-handedly fighting the goons from the fake and the goons from the fake Shadow Garden. As the goons launch a deadly attack on Alexia, Kagenou arrives with lightning speed and saves her. His new assistant, Nue, also arrives and, without breaking a sweat, kills the remaining criminals in the blink of an eye. The next day, Alexia sits with her older sister and tries to explain the truth to her. But her sister refuses to listen. She bluntly declares that both Shadow Garden and the Cult of Diablo are their sworn enemies. Meanwhile, Kagenou stood on the train swaggering with his cool swagger. But the two idiots who had sworn to keep the secret until their funeral yesterday had announced to the entire city that Kagenou had planted a landmine in the street. I swear, with friends like these, who needs enemies, Now Kagenou's friend gives the chocolate he bought to a girl, but her boyfriend arrives and leaves, leaving him red-faced. Cherry was also sitting there, the same girl who had confronted Kagenou. She is no ordinary prisoner, but a research expert tasked by Alexia Cicero with decoding a mysterious stone, the Botu. It's the same artifact found in the rubble after Kagenou's last atomic bombing. Kagenou gives her the chocolate and leaves. Back home, she eats the chocolate and immediately falls in love with him. Girls are falling for this man with a twig like a it's like fish in a pond. I've been facing a drought for years, but not even a dog is paying attention. What kind of completely unfair distribution is this? In the evening, new reports to Kagenou that the Cult of Diablo is no longer an enemy, but a brainwashing machine. They brainwash children from childhood to such an extent that they forget their own individuality and become their slaves. Sometime later, Kagenou's friends forcibly enrolled him in a tournament and threw him straight into the ring And here too, he had memorized the entire syllabus of his side character gimmick. He must have. At the beginning of the match, he stuffed a tomato in his mouth and deliberately started taking blows from the girl, causing the tomato to burst, and the entire audience thought blood was gushing from his mouth. He had mastered the entire plan to get beaten up in 1,000 ways, to appear as the world's biggest loser. But after a brief beating, the coach came to Kagenou's rescue, and with this, Kagenou's plan to become a loser was completely foiled. After a severe beating, Kagenou was wandering around with bandages on his face. Just then, Cherry entered the scene. She offered him a cake she had made herself and offered him a hand of friendship, and Kagenou immediately accepted. Cherry then introduced him to her father, an ex-knight, and the school's vice president. While the conversation was going on, Cherry became aware of Kagenou and Alexia's past relationship. To find out the truth, she went straight to Alexia and asked if they were still together. Alexia said no, which brought a wide smile to Cherry's face. But seeing Cherry so happy, Alexia was seething with jealousy. A few hours later, Kagenou was sitting peacefully in his school when Rose, the president of the school council, arrived. This was the same girl who had beaten Kagenou so badly some time ago. But suddenly, Diablo uses a